Coming to you from a basement studio somewhere down under. It's the 80s Show with Australia's Retro Man. On tonight's show, Retro Man takes a look at the highest grossing film of 1987. Well, what are we waiting for? Lights, camera, Retro Man.
G'day YouTubers, Retro Man here, and welcome to another episode of the 80s Show. Now, I like a good comedy, and back in 1987, this film here, Three Men and a Baby, ticked all the right boxes. Now, it starred Tom Selleck from Magnum P.I., Steve Guttenberg from Police Academy, and Ted Danson from Cheers. What a combo! In fact, this Hollywood film was based on a 1985 French film called Three Men in a Cradle. But you know what? My personal favourite is this one, because where else are you going to find a scene in a movie where Magnum P.I. just looks over at the other fella and says, "I'll give you $1,000 if you change a kid's nappy." I mean, come on, it was priceless. Now, I saw this film at the cinema in 1987. I think a lot of you did. It was an absolute box office smash. And my box office brain tells me, if I remember correctly, that this film made $240 million at the box office. It was a stampede. Now, I happened to go to the Aussie premiere of this one back in the day, and even me grandmother came, and she never ever went to the movies in her life, and she loved it. I mean, this film was a bona fide box office hit. And I'll tell you another thing. It was directed by Leonard Nimoy. That's right, Spock from Star Trek was sitting in the director's chair while all of these shenanigans with a baby were playing out. Hard to believe, but true. Anyway, if you remember the film, the premise is these three guys find an abandoned baby at their doorstep, and they're bachelors. I mean, how do bachelors deal with a baby? Well, for one, Tom Selleck found changing diapers quite daunting.
It's working. Piece of cake. There. Yeah.
Now, to give you a little bit of casting details, before Magnum, Mahoney and Cheers came along and starred in Three Men and a Baby, this film was a project for Mr. Paul Hogan. That's right, off the bat of Crocodile Dundee, they turned up at Hoag's doorstep with a script and said, "Hey Hoags, do you want to do this movie about a baby?" And he had his pick of the roles. Of course, he was nearly going to play the Tom Selleck part, but he stepped away to do Crocodile Dundee too.
Big mistake. You would have been a natural at that, Hoags.
Now, when I think about 80s comedies, this one always sticks in my mind because it's such a charming film, and it was the highest grossing film of 1987. I mean, look at it. Great poster, interesting title, good cast, can't go wrong. Now, of course, when you've got a hit film like this, a couple of years later, people start thinking, let's make a sequel. And I think it was about 3 years later in 1990, they did this one, Three Men and a Little Lady. The same crew were back, Magnum, Mahoney and Cheers, and the little baby had now grown into a little lady. It wasn't too bad. It was directed by the guy that brought us Dirty Dancing. And you know what? This film didn't make as much money at the box office, which is understandable. Sequels usually fall a bit short. But it still made about, I think, 70 million or so, which is not bad. And the big takeaway from this film was the scene where the little girl says, "What a crock," and then Tom Selleck is talking on the phone, and he looks around and he says to his business associate, "What a crock." And at the time, I remember the crowd went wild in the cinema.
What a crock. Hey, where did you hear that expression?
What a crock.
Now, if you don't know what that means, if you weren't around in 1990, what a crock was meant, what a load of rubbish.
What'd they do?
Moving forward now about 20 years to 2010, and all of a sudden news broke that the gang were getting back together for Three Men and a Bride. That's right, Magnum, Mahoney and Cheers were going to star in a second sequel. I was amazed to hear that news. Now what happened was they didn't know whether 20 years is a little bit late. Could we go theatrical or will it wind up direct to DVD? They were a little bit unsure about what to do, so in the end the film got put on the back burner. Regardless, they decided to scrap it, which was a little bit disappointing for die-hard fans of the two movies. But amazingly, a couple of years later, news broke that comedian Adam Sandler was trying to redevelop a remake of the film. But he wasn't going to star in it. He had penciled in 3 of his buddies, Chris Rock, David Spade and Deuce Bigalow. Rob Schneider. So anyway, those fellas were going to get together and do a remake. I don't know how that would go, but it was tossed around for a while and apparently it was almost a reality. But if we move forward a little bit, say 10 years or so, this brings us to Christmas 2020. And you know what happened? News broke that Mr. Zac Efron, you know, that teen pin-up boy from High School Musical, he's going to headline the Three Men and a Baby remake for Disney+. Can you believe that? I mean, a few years ago, Zac starred in Baywatch, you know, that comedic remake with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. Now, at the moment, there's no other casting news as to who's going to star with Zac. I mean, for all I know, he could be playing all 3 parts. So anyway, what do you think about Zac Efron headlining a Three Men and a Baby remake? Should it have been one of these films that just stayed in the 80s? I mean, we all loved it then, didn't we? Do we really need to see it again? And who do you think should join Zac Efron? Maybe Zac could rope in his old Baywatch buddy, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and Dwayne could play the Tom Selleck part and Zac could play the Steve Guttenberg part. And let me think, who could play the Ted Danson part? Ted Danson was tall, so if you want to mix things up, we could have a diminutive actor step into the role. How about Peter Dinklage from Game of Thrones? Wouldn't that be a combo? Efron, Johnson and Dinklage. Now I'd pay to see that. But you know what? Nothing can beat these classics, Three Men and a Baby and Three Men and a Little Lady. They're great films, they're nostalgic, they're charming, and they're full of laughs. I mean, it's great just to watch Selleck, Mahoney and Cheers get into all sorts of mishaps, changing nappies. Nappies is an Australian term. Diapers, that's right, diapers is the American term. Nappies, diapers, call it what you will. And they're great films. So, what do you think? Do you want to see a remake with Zac Efron? Let me know in the comments below. And as usual, guys, if you like what you see, please hit that subscribe button. Come and say hello. And join me here at the 80s Show, because I've got a lot more coming your way. That's it for today, viewers. YouTubers. So, this is Retro Man, living the dream. 80s style. Stay gold.
Thanks for watching. Retro Man will return faster than a boomerang and more powerful than Magnum PI's Ferrari. Good night.